Hey, welcome to another episode of Coffee in College. I'm your host, Priyanka, college counselor of over 10 years, and I have worked with lots of students who have mental health concerns, who have been battling their anxiety, their depression. Maybe it's ADD, which that's a learning style. So different learning styles, different ADHD, executive functioning, and so on. All right, so today I want to take a moment to talk about, should mental health be talked about in your college applications? Does the university need to know about this? Is it their business? Is it not their business? Is it going to paint you in a negative light? All right, so let's take this a step at a time. First up, mental health. Should we talk about it in our college application? My caveat, or this is what I tell students: if that experience, if that maybe it's a struggle, maybe it's part of your journey, whatever you choose to word it as, if that has impacted your grades, if that has impacted your ability to, okay, sorry. You know what? I'm keeping this in the recording. I'm not re-recording, but anyway, so should that be mentioned in your college application? I would say yes, if it has impacted your ability to perform in high school. Now, if that has impacted your grades because maybe you weren't getting the help you needed, maybe you weren't getting the extended time that you might have needed, whatever it might be, if it's impacted your grades, absolutely. If it's impacted your ability to do any kind of extracurriculars outside, so any activities outside of the classroom, then yes. All right, but of course, there's a right way to do it. The wrong way to do it is to talk about it in your college essay, is to just go down that whole explanation tunnel and be like, this is when I was diagnosed, but I was diagnosed later. A lot of students also unfortunately don't get diagnosed until about 11th grade, which means their grades for at least 9th and 10th grade have taken a hit. Okay, so maybe it's that you were diagnosed late and then this happened in the family and this was the journey you've been on and they tried this medication and it didn't work because the dosages were weird and made you feel crappy and you didn't get hungry after that or couldn't sleep, etc. Just, that's too much. Okay, that's too much. Instead, first, never mention something like that in your college essay unless there's a very specific way you should mention it. There's a style. But if you prefer the direct approach, then the safest thing you can do is go down to the additional information section. It is right below the writing section on your college application, so they're next to each other. Most students leave the additional information section blank. All right, don't do that. I'll make a different video on what you should do in your additional info section, but mental health or any major obstacle, this is where you talk about it. This is where you mention that, hey, FYI, kind of, don't write FYI, but you're using a very direct FYI kind of tone. You're not doing the pity me approach. You're not doing the I am so frustrated and done with this and we still can't figure this out approach. You're not doing this is where you take the emotions out and you simply put it as almost as like a dry script. You might have, like a report you might have been reading at the doctor's or something, of just, hey, this is what happened, here are all the symptoms, here's the medication, etc. Okay, you don't have to tell your medication stuff. Simply here's what happened, here's how it had an impact on my academics. I was not able to get the extended time. I actually didn't even know I had this situation going on, and this is the help I'm getting for it. And this is basically, here's how we're working through it right now. Okay, so yes, you do want to mention it if it's really impacted your high school experience, because at that point you might have had a low GPA and you want to make sure that the university is aware that this is not an accurate reflection of your abilities, that you're capable of so much more, but you just didn't have the right chemistry happening in your body at that moment in time, for whatever reason. Okay, so yes, it is okay to mention mental health, but it has to be done in a very specific way. Don't mention it in your college essay. For the most part, I don't think I've seen students who can pull it off so smoothly. It ends up becoming awkward for the reader. You don't want the reader to feel awkward. You want them to learn some other side of you that's more than your mental health, some other quirks you might have, some other interests you might have. So don't make it about that. But then go over to the additional information section, and then you have 250 words to write this part up. Okay, so make sure you address it that way. All right, so that pretty much is how you would address the mental health component. Do universities need to know about it, and how would they perceive it? Would that be a disadvantage to you? So let's talk about this part. Universities are not going to count your mental health against you as long as they have the resources available to help you. All right. And for the majority, especially if it's a medium or large university, they have the resources to help you. If you have a very common diagnosis, anxiety and depression have been increasing, whether that's due to whatever the reason that might be. I'm not even going to speculate on that actually, but diagnosis of anxiety and depression have been on the rise. So universities are mostly ready for students who do have anxiety and depression, okay, who might need help with executive functioning. So for the most part, if the university's admissions officers feel that their disabilities or their support centers, whatever that means, they have a lot of universities have wellness centers, some have, I was talking to a university yesterday. They had a academic counseling center, which was a paid service that students can be a part of. Then they of course had their own free resources from the support center, depending on what your 504 plan might have asked for. Okay, so the university can basically check their boxes in terms of the resources they can provide for you. Then no, your diagnosis does not count against you. So don't be afraid to mention it. And it's not like the admissions officers are just waiting for you to have an anxiety attack in the middle of campus and they don't know what to do. It's not like that, okay? So just make sure that you address it appropriately. Universities will make sure that they have the resources available for you if you're accepted. And once you're accepted, make sure that you immediately, once you decide that you do want to attend that particular university, you get in touch with their support center, because anyone who has a 504 plan or an IEP is going to have to do their paperwork again to refile with the university. So you will have to get diagnosed again. Basically, all the steps that you took to get to that IEP or that 504 plan for the extra support, you will have to go back and do that again for the university level. All right? Make sure you to get that taken care of. All right, so this is a fairly short, I think, episode. I don't think I've missed anything major, but if I have, please post in the comments if there's anything about mental health or what should be, if it's a sensitive topic or not, to address in a college application. If any of that comes to mind, then please post it in the comments and I will make sure I address it. All right, so that sums up this episode. I will see you in the next one. Bye.